Greg Gumbel and I will be sharing the hosting and updating duties, and I'll be joined here by Greg Anthony, Kenny Smith, and Charles Barkley. So Pitt, back in the tournament. They had made it 10 straight years, missed out last year, and they are back. It's an 8-9 matchup. What do you make of it?
It's going to be a tough game for Pitt. They're playing well, having won 4 of their last 5. Trey Woodall really playing well also, but I think the key for them is going to be Steven Adams. The freshman is going to have to figure out a way to have an impact on the interior against the Missouri Valley team in Wichita State. With Malcolm Armstead, Cleanthony Early, Carl Hall, they have veterans, guys who know how to play. This is going to be a physical, competitive game.
You know, if you're Wichita State, this is that coming out game because, you know, you don't get that national recognition for being in those power conferences, but this is a very good basketball team, and they can do a lot of different things. The other thing about them, with the exception of Creighton, they really haven't had a tough loss. All their games, they're always in, and you're going to have to beat them down the stretch.
I do agree with Greg on the freshman, how he's going to handle the spotlight. Jamie Dixon has done a fantastic job for the team like he does pretty much every year. But you never know how your freshmen are going to react under pressure because Wichita State, they have all the experience out there. But I'm curious. I think the freshmen will do well today. I'm looking forward to seeing how he handles that.
That game coming up shortly here on TBS. The second round of play in the 2013 NCAA tournament is about to commence in Salt Lake City, where Wichita State meets Pittsburgh in our first 8-9 games. As other games tip off around the country, we will keep you updated, and you can watch them as you please. Enjoy it.
Coverage of the NCAA men's basketball tournament is sponsored by AT&T. Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And by Bud Light.
Seize the opportunity. This is a great tournament. Winning games and advancing is special. It's even better than just getting there, okay? We've got to seize this opportunity because it's a tremendous opportunity. And number 4, have fun together, okay?
A few sporting events conjure the emotions quite like the NCAA tournament. March Madness is upon us as we welcome you to Salt Lake City. 8-9 matchup, Pitt and Wichita State, as we take a look at the brackets for you in the West region. The winner of this one will take on the winner of Gonzaga and Southern at the 1-16 matchup in the second of our quadruple header here from Salt Lake City. So excited to be with you, Spiro Dedes, alongside Doug Gottlieb. Doug, 3 tournaments as a player, first one as a broadcaster. A lot of emotions for the coaches, for the players. What's the biggest difference in this game?
Well, first, you heard Greg Marshall at the end. Number 4, have fun together. So let's have some fun together with 4 games. I think the big difference is which of the 5th-year senior point guards make big shots at the end of shot clock situations. These 2 teams are mirror images of one another. Neither was expected to see this type of success and into the NCAA tournament. Maybe Pitt expected to be here, but a bounce-back year for them. Who makes shots? And, of course, they rebound, they defend, they block shots. It's going to be a bloodbath out there.
2 hard-nosed, defensive-oriented teams taking the floor. As we take a look at the starters, Wichita State, 26 wins. At-large bid out of the Missouri Valley Conference. Demetric Williams, the senior, with Malcolm Armstead. Their top offensive player, Cotton. Carl Hall among the other frontline players with Cleanthony Early. Meantime, for Pitt, 24 wins as they take the floor in the NCAA tournament as a representative of the Big East Conference for the final time. Of course, they are ACC-bound next season. Salt Lake City, the site. Our officials, Brian Dorsey, Vern Harris, and Rod Dixon. Pitt in white, and the Wichita State Shockers in black. Orupe stepping into the middle to jump, the senior out of Nigeria, and Wichita State controls the start.
And you mentioned the officials. How the game is officiated normally affects Pittsburgh greatly because they're so physical. But again, Wichita is equally physical. The top rebounding, shot-blocking team out of Missouri Valley.
Nice give-and-go play. Orupe catches and is fouled. Orupe, not a noted offensive player, not a very polished guy on the low block. But they want him, Doug, for defensive purposes and his rebounding work on the glass. He'll shoot 2.
You mentioned Arupe, not a great offensive player, so he's going to be matching up with Steven Adams, the freshman from New Zealand, who's an incredible physical specimen, much like Arupe, and also not really a refined offensive player. So in addition to statistically the teams mirroring each other, some of their personnel is actually very, very similar.
Arupe just a 40% free throw shooter during the season. So Wichita State, second straight trip to the NCAA tournament, 26-7 during the season. Lost to Creighton in the title game of the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. So Arupe salvages the final free throw in Wichita State with the early 1-0 lead.
And they'll press, they'll man-to-man press, they'll 2-2-1 press you back to a zone. I think they're very cautious about zoning Pittsburgh because there's so many teams that zone in the Big East.
This is Trey Woodall, the senior out of Brooklyn, New York. Talib Zanna with the baseline jumper. Both of these teams, two of the top rebounding teams in the tournament. Turnover inside. Arupe's pass deflected, stolen by Lamar Patterson. Back to Patterson in the corner. That's a 3. Batted out by Zanna, taken by the freshman point guard James Robinson.
And if you watch when the ball went inside for Wichita State, Pitt post double. That means you're double teaming the low post from the other post. You cannot turn the basketball over against the Panthers on that post-to-post double if you're Wichita State.
Robinson right through the teeth of the defense, and he'll shoot 2. James Robinson, the highly touted freshman point guard out of Mitchellville, Maryland, from the famed high school program DeMatha Catholic in Maryland, left there as the winningest player in school history. And he'll step to the free throw line for 2. A young man hasn't been fazed by the spotlight in the Big East, had an incredible start to the year, and he's been steady, really no drop-off, Doug, during his freshman season.
Incredible honor to be starting as a freshman at point guard U. There's just a ridiculous lineage of point guards at Pitt, and usually just like this year, there's kind of a crossover between one regime and the next. Trey Woodall is a 5th-year senior, and Robinson, who came right out of DeMatha. But he got a lot of valuable experience playing with Team USA, the under-19 team, this past summer, and they loved his steadiness and his ability to not get rattled in big situations.
Reminder right at the top of your picture, all afternoon long and all evening, you'll see scores from around the tournament. Games in progress on CBS. And later tonight, you see some of the other matchup. Halftime score between Butler and Bucknell. We're here in Salt Lake City. Pittsburgh with a 2-1 lead over Wichita State. In this 8-9 matchup, there's corner 3 from Baker short. Rebound taken by Zanna.
He's got to make shots. The freshman who missed 21 games due to injury, they expect him to make shots. He'll have the freedom to take them.
Here's the steal by Takeo Cotton to the rim. Dumps it back. And the first field goal for Wichita State. That's Cleanthony Early, their leading scorer off the bench at better than 14 tonight. Early, the junior from Middletown, New York, has been a starter only a handful of times this season. But he expected to play heavy minutes here against the Panthers today. This is Patterson. Robinson down low to Taylor. And a nice strong move by Dante Taylor. He'll shoot 2 as the senior from Greenburgh, New York, gets to the free throw line.
And Talib Zanna with an awful pass. You see the beautiful run through and steal from Takeo Cotton, who finds Early in transition. I mean, if you look at the scouting reports from teams in the Missouri Valley and teams in the Big East in facing both these two teams, they both say the same thing. Can't turn it over, can't give up easy buckets. Points are at a premium, you have to rebound.
Doug, the knock on Pitt has been, a team that has not had the big postseason success in the NCAA tournament. There you see Jamie Dixon, what a career run he has had. 10th year at the helm of this Pitt program. Is this the year that they could finally get to a Final Four? That's been the one knock.
No. I mean, last year was their first disappointing year since he's been here, 5-13 in the Big East. So this year's a good recovery year. But they just lack the offensive firepower. At some point, you have to score. I think if they proceed and they play Gonzaga, hey, they're a team that can push around the Zags a little bit.
That's Carl Hall on a little head fake. And he'll shoot 2 free throws. So both teams getting some high percentage shots. More free throws here, tied at 3. As we take a look at our behind the stats presented by LG. You see the Wichita State Shockers coming in red hot, 7 of their last 10, and among the top rebounding teams in the country.
And then you look at Pittsburgh, an incredible defensive team who's won 11 of their last 15 games. And actually, if you look at just the tail end of the season, Wichita had lost 3 out of 5 here coming into today. Now, this is a bold move. A really bold move from Carl Hall at the free throw line. He's had dreadlocks all year. He cut them right before the tournament.
I was just going to say, a lot of Shocker fans who are watching, haven't seen him in the last couple of days, don't recognize Hall. Had those long dreadlocks, but decided he wanted to do something new. This is final, postseason taste of college basketball. And what a story that young man is. We'll get into it as the day goes on. Just under 3 minutes gone by. Wichita State 2-point lead. This is Patterson. Little trying to thread the needle to Zana. And he turned it over to Early. Second Pitt turnover. There's a 3 from Early. 2 strong rebound Zana. Not many second chance opportunities in the early going.
Yeah, except a steady diet of jumpers you're going to see from Wichita State with Early and Baker both on the floor.
I mentioned Carl Hall. This is what he looked like most of the year. And the last 4 or 5 years, that's been the hairstyle he's gone with. And then he showed up today. If you're a Wichita State fan, you turn on your television, and there's Carl here in Salt Lake City. A new era for the young man, the senior, Georgia native.
He actually called Greg Marshall, his head coach, and was talking about something else. And at the end of the conversation said, "Oh yeah, by the way, coach, I cut my hair." Did you cut your hair? I cut my hair. All right.
He said he lied in bed at night, kind of rubbing on his head. Just didn't feel right to him. Patterson, nice find to Taylor. Little head fake, and then he goes glass. Tied at 5, first field goal for the Panthers. 3.5 minutes into the game. Van Fleet down low to Hall. Off balance, and it's tipped up and in by Cleanthony Early. So Early with 4 of the Shockers' first 7 points, and their lead back to 2. Little pick and roll play. J.J. Moore has just come in. Moore, the junior from Brentwood, New York. Dante Taylor errantly passes it out into the media table here. So Pitt very careless early on. 3rd turnover. Just over 4 minutes gone by. Early 2-point lead for Wichita State. All right, Greg, so Michigan State looks like they are on their way to the 3rd round. They'll take on the winner of Memphis and St. Mary's. Doug, you've got Michigan State as one of your Final Four teams. You're not surprised?
Well, I'm not surprised, but I'm pleasantly surprised that, as Tom Izzo said, once they broke out of the Big Ten, they kind of flex their muscles, move around a little bit. Conference play, everyone gets bludgeoned from Wichita State in the Missouri Valley to Pittsburgh in the Big East. Conference teams know you so much better, it's hard to run into them.
Another open look for Cleanthony Early. We've played a couple of minutes here, and one thing very clear, Wichita State not intimidated by this Big East team, Pitt, in the least so far. 2-point lead. We come up on 15 minutes to play in this first half. 3 early turnovers for the Panthers. They go glass there with Dante Taylor to tie it at 7.
And Dante Taylor, that's the 2nd bucket he's gotten picking and rolling. The former McDonald's All-American's been more than a little bit disappointing statistically for the Panthers. Can't score at the low block, but on a roll, he's been very good, very well taught.
Taylor, a senior in the NCAA tournament for the 3rd time in his career. This is Demetric Williams, talented point guard, the senior from Vegas. Now Fred Van Fleet with under 10 to shoot. Van Fleet, the freshman, into the corner. That's a 3 in and out. Good look from Cotton. And one of the rare offensive rebounds so far from either team. There's a whistle blown here against the Panthers' Trey Ziegler.
There's an expression in basketball called scoring with angles. Here comes a big screen. All right, now as the roll comes, all right, as Dante Taylor rolls to the basket, he posts up and he holds the angle. See, if you give him the ball with his back to the basket, he can't score. But if he gets an angle where all he has to do is turn, shoot the ball off the board, that's where he can be really effective. So when Wichita State says we can't let Dante Taylor have any angles, that's what they mean. That's an angle, that's an easy bucket.
Ron Johnson comes in for the Panthers, the redshirt freshman. Taylor stepping out from the back, and he goes over the score table. Active at the start for Jamie Dixon's side. As you said, Taylor has had issues living up to the expectations of what his career was supposed to be, but he is going all out here. The early couple of minutes.
And it's funny, if you look at the success of so many Pittsburgh players, they've been lightly regarded recruits, whereas Dante Taylor was there at the time that he came to Pittsburgh, their most highly touted recruit. But if you ask the staff even at the time, they said, like, look, we don't do the ratings. We thought he's a good player, we thought he's a good big man, but he'd have to develop, and he's been a little slower developing than we thought.
Taylor averaged only 5 points a game this year. Early again, he's been close a couple of times. And the rebound by Woodall.
They need somebody to stretch out that defense. Early is one of the two. Early and Baker for Wichita State.
Ziegler's pass deflected by Early and taken by Wichita State. Back to Early, and he's headed to the line. You know, one interesting point you made yesterday watching these teams practice. Wichita State's head coach Greg Marshall doesn't like to do a lot of switching in terms of his defenses, but he knows they've got to show them a little bit of a zone and multiple looks, as we've seen that so far early on. So Clay Anthony Early at the free throw line, Rupe waiting to check in at the table. As we take a look at the Infinity Coaches Spotlight, the aforementioned Greg Marshall, no stranger to the NCAA tournament, 9th time in the Big Dance, 7 times as the head coach of Winthrop, 2nd time with the Shockers. And you saw his pregame message to the guys, and it's nice to get here. It's even better to win.
I mean, really remarkable, the sustained success he had at Winthrop, and then how he's been able to bounce back. You know, they lost their top 5 scorers from last year. They didn't think this was an NCAA tournament team. Then early in the season, they go and beat VCU. And they beat Iowa down in Cancun. Oh, here we go. And Greg Marshall, who last year this time, everyone in college basketball thought he's going to take the South Carolina job. That's where he's from. That's where he was successful. That's where his recruiting base is. He loves Wichita State. Looks like he's staying here for a long time.
Air ball from Woodall. Taylor keeps it in play, but it's taken by the Shockers' Baker. Underneath the Rupe, stepping middle, had it stripped. Out into the corner. And knocked out, taken again. Here comes Moore to the rim, and Pitt enters at the other end. They tie it at 9. As J.J. Moore, the junior from New York, with his first points. It's a Wichita State team that lost 4 starters from their team a year ago, as Doug pointed out, a team in transition supposedly. But they jumped out of the gates 19-2 to start, and 26 wins out of the Missouri Valley Conference. Shot clock resets. This is Demetric Williams, bottled up inside. Excellent defense by Ziegler.
Demetric Williams just took 2 shots in that possession. The previous possession, this is doubling down on bad. Driving in, no spacing, turns it over, and because you're a guard, there's no spacing, and that's just way too easy for J.J. Moore to get a run out and a finish.
There's Jamie Dixon, the Burbank, California native, 47 years of age. Trying to get this program over the hump. Once again, they are in the Big Dance for the final time as a Big East member. ACC bound next season. And they have been awfully careless with it to start. Another turnover. Here comes Malcolm Armstead. Going glass with a left hand.
And that's Malcolm Armstead's game. The transfer from Oregon. The Alabama native. He loves to go left, and he's got kind of a funky floater game. Had 28 in the Valley Conference Championship, Arch Madness, despite the loss to Creighton.
Great story is Armstead, the senior, JUCO transfer who was willing to walk on and pay his own way last year. Practiced with the team, just biding his time till this season. And a good start for Wichita State. Pittsburgh with its 6th turnover in just over 7 minutes. 2-point lead for Wichita State, 11-9 here in Salt Lake City. 2-point lead for Wichita State as we say hello to the third member of our broadcast team here in Salt Lake City, Jamie Maggio. Jamie?
Hey, Spiro, thank you. You know, you mentioned Malcolm Armstead paying his way through school last year. Quite a responsibility. His family had to take out loans, but Malcolm also got a job at a local car dealership. He said it was beneficial for a lot of reasons. It helped to embed him in his new community, get to know the people in and around his new school. He said, you know what, my presence probably helped sell a few cars too, but he said he also learned quite a bit about cars. If you need a tire rotation, tire pressure checked, or an oil change, Malcolm is your guy.
Love it. I love it.
Jamie, I could use his help. I know nothing about any of that stuff as Armstead misses out at the timeout. The amazing part is that Armstead is not the only guy who made that sacrifice last year. Ron Baker, the redshirt freshman and Kansas native, did the same exact thing, paid his way on. They both walked on and waited for this season to come around, and they have become two of the top players. Armstead certainly their best shooting guard. And what a year he has had. And so here they are now, Wichita State, 26 wins out of the Missouri Valley Conference. And right now leading the Panthers by 2. And exactly the kind of game, Doug, that we expected. Defense, ugly at times, and very tough physical teams at both ends of the floor. This is the freshman point, James Robinson. Now Steven Adams, the highly touted freshman out of New Zealand, had his shot partially tipped. Exactly 9 minutes gone by. Wichita State, 2-point lead, straightaway 3, Baker. Adams had it, and Pitt controls. Well, Steven Adams admitted a couple of years ago he didn't even know what the NCAA tournament was. Here he is now on the big stage. J.J. Moore, early aggressive play offensively. His second field goal, we're tied at 11.
And again, that pick and roll game for Pittsburgh has really hurt Wichita State, as there's not a lot of help there. Pitt's done a good job early offense.
Well, this is the matchup everyone was talking about. Carl Hall against Steven Adams. Adams blocks him that time. Robinson into the corner for Patterson. Well, he won't get a better look than that today, as Pitt continues to struggle now, 4 of 10. Nice pick and roll play on the lead bounce for Jake White, the sophomore Minnesota native. And the officials say offensive foul. Fans celebrate 75 years of March Madness by voting for your all-time players, teams, and moments of the NCAA tournament. Vote now at ncaa.com/March Madness. Well, these shooting numbers have not been for the faint of heart so far, especially from the outside. But Wichita State 0 of 8 from downtown, and Pitt, Doug, 0 for their first 5.
Outside of that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? It's been horrible.
Ragged offensive start for both of these teams. We're tied at 11. Just past the Woodbay point. Nice find, backdoor. Woodall couldn't finish the play, and that a microcosm of the kind of game it's been so far. This is Takale Cotton, defended by Zana. Whistle blown, offensive foul against the Shockers. Then a reminder to keep an eye on the other games at the top of your screen. Bucknell has moved in front of Butler. They were down 7 points at halftime, but they have stormed out in the second half.
And during the breaks, paying a little attention as Mike Muscala, the star for Bucknell, started the game just 1 of 8. The big thing with Butler, like so many teams, they struggle at times to score. Big scoring drought, big early lead, and now the Bison back in front.
That game can be seen right now over on True TV.
Beautiful.
Adams inside off the pretty pass from Robinson. Adams gets tangled up with Cleanthony early, and he'll shoot 2.
This, my friend, is called horn. The old horn set. Horn set means a double high ball screen, and Adams rolls to the basket. He is just a massive dude. He's a large piece of meat.
Adams, what a story this young man is. Discovered in New Zealand by Jamie Dixon, who played as a pro in New Zealand. Played with 2 of Adams' brothers. And basically Adams, has become this highly touted freshman. Was not recruited by any other major team, really no other programs anywhere.
Well, they had him locked up a long time ago. I mean, you know, Jamie still has connections in Australia, in New Zealand. So he played with 2 of his brothers. He's part of 18 sibling
youngest
family.
of 18 siblings.
They're the Duggars of New Zealand, if you will. They're the Adams family. But unlike Lurch, he's got some game. He is, and as impressive as he looks on TV, more impressive physically in person. I mean, he's like 2 years away from being just a freak of nature. He can shoot a face-up jump shot. He's got remarkable athletic gifts like that of Myers Leonard we saw last year from Illinois. He's just in the learning phases of basketball IQ and how to score the basketball.
Big East all-rookie team selection in his first year at Pitt. Here's Armstead, 15 to shoot, slings a straightaway 3, and he sticks it. Wichita State back in front.
Malcolm Armstead, you know, you come off your redshirt year, you come into a new team, it's really foreign. His scoring has gone up and up and up. He wants to shoot jump shots going right, floaters going left. You better learn the scatter report because he's going to shoot at the end of the shot clock.
First made three-pointer from either team. Robinson can't hit. Shockers had missed their first 8 threes before that Armstead hit. Armstead, same spot. And Adams, monstrous center, up high for the rebound. Here comes Woodall, the Jersey City native. Former high school player under the legendary head coach at St. Anthony's in Jersey City, Bob Hurley. There's Cale Cotton, and Malcolm Armstead tripped up to the floor. There's Trey Woodall.
Well, let's talk about Armstead and the improvement. You know, as a guy who transferred and sat out a year, I can tell you, plus, I didn't have to change tires and, you know, do oil, lube, and filters.
You're just worried about assists.
Right, but still, it's hard when you're just coming into a new system. You haven't played. You know, last year, Greg Marshall would tell him to take time away from practicing because he had to raise some money. Remember, he's paying out-of-state tuition with the help of loans as well. But as he's gotten more comfortable, he kind of looks around and says, wait a second now, I can be a takeover guy. And that progression is getting comfortable and kind of imposing your will on other defenses in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Now, Armstead went from junior college to Oregon. Ducks, of course, made the head coaching change. Dana Altman took over. And Armstead decided he wanted to go elsewhere. And here he is now with Wichita State in the NCAA tournament. Demetric Williams unable to finish, but contact and free throws coming up.
And if you saw Malcolm Armstead drop 28 in the Missouri Valley Conference Championship, you know that Armstead, well, he checked. Wheat Shockers up a point.
All right, Craig, thanks. Doug had mentioned as we see the winner of that game takes on Marquette Davidson, those long offensive droughts that they're trying to fight through right now. I
talked to Brad Stevens this morning. Actually, he was in the locker room, and he said, you know, the 2 teams that you don't want on the 11 line are Bucknell and Belmont. And he goes, when we drew Bucknell, he said, you know, Bucknell has won 3 straight league titles. Belmont, who we'll see later tonight here in our night session against Arizona, has won 4 straight league titles. So you ask around the country, college basketball coaches, they much prefer one of these middling big conference teams that has some sort of dysfunction, been a little bit disappointing at the end of the year, to a team that knows how to win ball games.
Doug, the other thing I wanted to ask you, and we touched on the altitude yesterday. We met with all 8 coaches. We are at altitude here in Salt Lake City, and Jamie Dixon says, you know, it's an excuse. He doesn't buy it. Other coaches say that there's something that they have to monitor with faster substitutions during the course of the game. Where do you stand? You played here, so you know what it's like.
Of course it affects you. Why do you think Olympic athletes train in altitude? Like, the whole idea that it doesn't affect anybody. Jerry Tarkanian used to tell his teams, don't worry, we're playing indoors. But the idea that it doesn't affect you, you might not say anything about it. You might not try and get in their heads, but I always encourage people, you know what you should do? Run up and down the stairs in your home market. Then when you get to altitude, do the same thing. Tell me how you feel.
You know, we asked Jamie Dixon about it yesterday. He kind of laughed and said, you know, when you win, it's a non-issue. When you lose, it's an excuse. As Van Fleet goes underneath again to Hall. And Wichita State with a turnover. Robinson nearly coughs it up again, and he does. Here comes Williams, 2-on-1 with Hall trailing. Contact. Zana was there, and the officials say offensive foul.
I think it's a very good call. Here's the issue with Demetric Williams. First, you have to take the step over to the side so that Zana can't recover. Zana recovers in time, in perfect position. That's a charge.
And Zana was just outside the restricted zone. Second foul. This is a big call as Carl Hall has to sit.
Now, in defense of Carl Hall, in talking with John Adams, the commissioner of the officials, he told us leading up to the NCAA tournament, showed us some video, they don't want players stepping forward. Stepping to the side, stepping backwards, fine. Zana appears to be stepping slightly forward and to the side. That's Demetric Williams. You gotta get to the basket, and if help comes all the way, then you dump it off. If not, lay the basketball in. That's on the pass, not on the finish.
Michigan State, our first winner of the day today, an 11-point win, as you see on the top left of your screen, over Valpo today. So they now will await the winner of St. Mary's and Memphis.
Matthew Dellavedova versus Joe Jackson, the king of Memphis. That is a point guard matchup for the ages.
Lamar Patterson at the free throw line. A 1-point lead for Wichita State.
And, you know, traditionally teams, or even you look this year at Pittsburgh, teams that are giving them difficulty. Notre Dame beat them at their place, something that never happened in the past at the Zoo. Cincinnati beat them at their place. 4 out, 1 in teams. You know, Pitt is a traditional 2 low post team. And they want to maul you when the ball gets in the low post, maul you on ball screens. I'm surprised that Jamie Dixon hasn't tried to go small a little bit more, use Lamar Patterson as your power forward, and try and generate some more offense, some more fluidity.
Now, there's no star player on this Pitt team, but they could be the most balanced team in the country.
And there's no team maybe more equipped for playing an altitude than a 10-deep team, and both these two teams go pretty deep.
It's a great point. Not a single player for Pitt averages better than 12 points per game. Well, fans, follow tournament scores, stats, and news live on the CBS Sports app. Get it free by texting SCORE to 42777 or by visiting cbssports.com/mobile from your mobile or tablet.
Not that it would be me, but somebody I know actually has a laptop open on cbssports.com and is watching the Bucknell-Butler game, in which Butler took a 2-point lead over on True TV.
I was checking out the first 4 the other night. Just a great piece of technology for you wherever you are. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr got the action started for us the other night in Dayton. And here we are in Salt Lake City, 1-point lead for Wichita State. 9 seed, the at-large bid out of the Missouri Valley Conference, 26-7 during the season. Jamie Dixon's Panthers, 24-8. At-large out of the Big East. Went down early in the conference tournament to Syracuse in the quarterfinal round. And at least in the early going, they have discovered that this is going to be a dogfight against a Wichita State team that is not intimidated, and that is a shot that they desperately needed. Long 2 from the senior Woodall.
When they called it a 3, they're going to quickly review it, and I think even Trey Woodall said to the official, hey, that was 2. But that's big for Trey Woodall. You know, one of the reasons that they torpedoed down last year and had their first disappointing year since Ben Howland took over before Jamie Dixon. Yeah, that's close. I thought the right foot was inside, but upon further review, I believe what do you think? Is there any space between it?
Well, the call on the floor
was a 3.
Yeah. So that, you know, could be the key here. They need conclusive video evidence to overturn. And I'm not sure they have it from that angle.
There's got to be space between. Vern Harris is the veteran official.
Also, Brian Dorsey and Rod Dixon are officials here in the first game.
Yeah. Now, Brian Dorsey is right there. He's the one who actually signals 3-point shot, but he's also screened off. Wow, that's really close. I think it's a 2 if technically his toe's on the line. See, if he had some
unfortunately for him, he's got that yellow little streak in the front of the toe. That helps the official look to be on the line. And they will say a 2-point field goal. For the Panthers, their first bucket dug since the 10:43 mark of the half, as they go nearly 5 minutes without a field goal.
Remember, Trey Woodall had the sports hernia last year.
Right.
And they just weren't equipped to play without him. They recovered a little bit late in the season. Woodall is their big shot taker, big shot maker, and he will be hard to replace as he finishes up his eligibility at Pitt.
He was on the shelf 5 months after the surgery to correct that sports hernia. Start player in the backcourt. As we move under 6 minutes to play before halftime. Baker defended by Deron Johnson, the redshirt freshman. Baker around a screen. Woodall tracks it down for Pitt. This is Cameron Wright, redshirt sophomore, in for the first time.
Woodall wants the ball off a high ball screen. He just hit a jump shot. Now we look for the senior from the Bronx to hit another one.
Cotton defending, and Arupe comes to hedge on the screen. Shot clock at 7. Taylor taking Arupe too strong, and Wichita State controls.
See the difference when you make him score over the top? I mean, he has no offensive game in trying to make a low post move. When you get an angle, Taylor can be an effective offensive player.
Offensive rebound, Arupe. Again, not a great low post score, but had a good look at it that time. And Arupe has to play extended minutes here with Carl Hall on the bench with 2 personals.
I'm not a huge fan of sitting guys extended minutes with 2 personal fouls, but when you're a post guy against Pittsburgh, they're going to wear you out otherwise.
Cameron Wright wide open. And the Cleveland native puts Pitt back in front. Greg Marshall wants a timeout with 4:26 to play before halftime. Neither team able to distance itself from the other. First half winding down here in Salt Lake City. Stay with us. Spiro Ditas, Doug Gottlieb, Jamie Maggio, our entire crew, and take a look at our game summary here. 4 and change to play before halftime. The story, offensive struggles. Both teams, Doug, with more free throws than field goals.
Yeah. I mean, part of it is the defense, but part of it is there's just a lack of shot makers. If you start to think, boy, Pittsburgh is getting good looks. Carl Hall's on the bench with 2 personal fouls for Wichita. This is a great chance for Pitt. You got a TV timeout coming. You get a bucket. There's another timeout. You start to feel some momentum. Remember, the timeouts are up to a minute longer in the NCAA tournament than they are in the regular season, and sometimes that kills momentum.
And you see the winner of this game will advance to the 3rd round Saturday. They'll take on a winner of Gonzaga and Southern. And that's the game that'll tip about 20 minutes at the conclusion of this one. Anthony Early continues to struggle. He's had some good looks at the rim. And that one knocked out of bounds as Wichita State retains with a new 35. Shockers now 4 of 20 from the field as Jamie Dixon looks on. Shockers finally get one, their first field goal in over 5 minutes. And we are tied at 19.
Well, Cleanthony Early is not scared to take open jump shots. He fired one up, missed it, out of the underneath, out of bounds, gets a quality screen, a good look, and fires again.
Early, the junior, New York native, their leading scorer off the bench at nearly 15 per game. He's got 8 so far. Robinson pick and roll play to Adams for the easy flush.
And if you're a Pitt fan, that's your future. Robinson to Adams, and when Adams gets an angle, just a monster athlete inside. You see his ability to catch and elevate quickly.
Early trying to go for 2 straight. Offensive rebound, Armstead. Give and go play. Baker couldn't corral it early. Right place, right time. He's hit 2 straight for the Shockers, and we're all tied.
And I talked to Ben Jacobson, the coach of Northern Iowa, and he said Cleanthony Early, really a high-energy guy. And if he hits a shot or 2, all of a sudden now he'll start defending and flying around the court. Pitt better be wary of Cleanthony Early's desire to take quick, long jump shots in transition.
C.J. LaFille has come in as Greg Marshall tries to find the right combination of front court players. Carl Hall on the bench with 2 fouls. Woodall. Rebound knocked out off of Adams, and it belongs to Wichita State. We'll get a timeout. 10th tie of the game with 2:35 to play before halftime. All even here in Salt Lake City. Physical first half, defensive-oriented game so far, as we expected. Tied at 21, Wichita State and Pittsburgh here in Salt Lake City. Spiro Ditas, Doug Gottlieb, Jamie Maggio, our entire crew on hand. Jamie Dixon, 7th highest active winning percentage in college basketball today. 7:55. What a run it's been. And right now, all he cares about is finding something that'll get his offense going. This is Van Fleet, the freshman, lobbing underneath. Last LaFille, late ad for Greg Marshall. Early foul trouble for Carl Hall. So LaFille in with his first points. And Wichita State back in front. LaFille, the junior Canada native. Patterson nearly tripped up, maintains possession against Baker. 17 to shoot. Robinson. And a traveling violation, say the officials. Turnovers continue to mount for Pitt. 7 already. As we remind you, the AT&T at the half coming up. We'll get you caught up with all the latest tournament scores and news, highlights, and updates around the country. AT&T at the half coming up in minutes.
Like Butler's putting away Bucknell. Up 10. There's Michigan State, our first winner of the NCAA tournament. Always a good feel. I played that first game. Nothing like getting the first win. First winner of what we're told is the second round.
Sana had it partially deflected, then Armstead and Adams battling for it. Possession arrow favors the Shockers. You know, a lot of these guys, we know Pitt with, you know, multiple veterans that have been in the tournament before, but what's that first game like, Doug, when you take the floor as an underclassman?
It's just a very foreign feeling. You can't touch the basketballs till the buzzer rings 30 minutes before the game. You've had limited practice time on that floor. You're using newer basketballs. You know, they have a machine that wears them in, and these Wilson solutions are tacky even when they're fresh out of the box, but still a newer basketball may be different than the one you use. It's different, and then the timeouts are longer. And on the other hand, sometimes you can run offensive plays that you haven't been able to run in conference because everyone knows what you do. So usually the first 5 minutes is pretty ugly, then it just becomes a basketball game.
Oh, officials again going to the replay monitor here. Looking,
they're trying to see if it's an elbow.
Foul should have been called with an elbow here. Take a look at the top of your screen.
This is the dumbest thing we do in basketball. This is dumb. This is absolutely, completely moronic. Right? It's not a foul. It's not a purposeful elbow. It's a guy driving to the basket, and his elbow happens to hit Baker in the mouth.
Lamar Patterson, the driver on the play.
That is incidental contact. That's not an elbow. It's considered a flagrant by letter of the rule book.
Well, from that angle, it looked like he kind of led, but you're right. It looks to be inadvertent contact. You see him kind of clenched his fist with the left hand. It looks a little bit more suspect from that angle.
So you mean to tell me that in the process of driving to the basket, he sees Ron Baker, lines him up and elbows him? Like, come on, he's protecting the ball, protecting the drive. That's a basketball move. That's not a foul. That's not a flagrant foul. And we're wasting time, and viewers are flipping over to the Bucknell-Butler game instead of watching this game.
Well, we know you don't want to lose viewers.
Of course they did.
And the officials
it's the dumbest
said
rule
flagrant
ever.
foul 1, so that's the lesser of the 2 flagrants.
And I'm not getting after Vern Harris or his crew. Okay, they're simply reading letter of the law, interpretation of that letter of the law. I'm telling you the rule is beyond stupid.
So you think anything inadvertent should not be called?
Basketball is a contact sport. Sometimes you run into a guy's elbow. It happens. The intent of the rule when it was placed in the rule book was so that guys, if you got a rebound and you line somebody up and you bow them on purpose, you would get a flagrant foul. Right? There's no more intentional foul, it's flagrant foul.
So it will be a flagrant foul 1.
But what we've done is we've created this rule that penalizes basketball plays. You see, if you read it, excessive contact, a non-excessive elbow contact above the shoulders. That's the rule. So by rule, it's a flagrant foul. It's a stupid rule.
So 2 shots and possession for Wichita State. Again, Lamar Patterson, the man who is in for the foul, he does not look pleased at that call.
He's driving to lay the ball in. Who thought this was a good idea? Nobody. No one thinks it's a good idea. And this is one of those law of unintended consequences where we thought, hey, can we make it Can we penalize players for elbowing and make it a more harsh penalty for an elbow in a game? Yes, but we didn't realize that by ruling it this way, Ron Baker, he caught an elbow.
Well, this is also the culture now in sport, Doug. Anything above the neck or the shoulders or to the head is going to get the attention of the officials. As Baker to the free throw line, the redshirt freshman, 2 shots and possession.
Ball don't lie. Listen, I don't want Ron Baker to catch an elbow or break a nose, but most everyone who's ever played basketball has suffered a broken nose or 10. And it's because basketball, it's not a collision sport, it's a contact sport.
3-point lead for Wichita State, $1:20 to play, and this is the biggest lead of the day. So far for the Shockers, Patterson will sit. 2 personals.
So in addition to taking away a layup that he had, and giving a point to Wichita State, and giving the ball to Wichita State, now he has 2 personal fouls. Great rule. Awesome. And we delayed the game by 10 minutes.
So apparently you didn't like the call, did you?
It wasn't the call. I have no problem with the call. It's the rule.
So after the delay, this is the kind of day it's been. Sloppiness at both ends offensively as Wichita State turns it over for the 7th time.
Now, I believe that the basketball gods have spoken and they agree with me. Either that or the line jumped up and tripped Robinson. Me?
Fred VanVleet lost his footing as that lands into the Shockers bench. Shahime Arupe comes back in for the Shockers. Carl Hall on the bench. Done for the half after picking up his 2nd personal. This is Cameron Wright as we come up on a minute to play before halftime. See Panthers in the double bonus. Shot clock now at 10. Errant pass as Woodall trying to find Adams. 8 Panther turnovers.
And Woodall also badly wants to go to his strong right hand that they double teamed him, and that was a terrible look.
Armstead following his own miss, banks it in. Wichita State with a 5-point lead. 9 for Armstead. And Jamie Dixon wants a timeout. All work, all play, all new episodes. Men at Work, a brand new season premieres Thursday, April 4th, 10/9 Central, only on TBS. Very funny. 9-2 Wichita State run. Doug, what about some strategy here for the final 27 seconds?
Obviously, you want to hold for the last shot. Pretty obvious you want either Robinson or probably Woodall with the basketball coming off a ball screen. And if you've seen the way that Wichita State has defended it, the roll man will be open. So that's Khalid Zana or Big Steven Adams.
Panthers in the double bonus.
Now Woodall likes to go to his right hand. He's much more comfortable going to his strong right hand.
Woodall, the senior. Long 3. Still 3 seconds. Here comes the freshman VanVleet. A good runner. Unable to hit. As Wichita State, the 9 seed out of the Missouri Valley Conference, up 5 as they close with a 9-2 run.
Really smart play by VanVleet. He looked up at the clock, didn't rush a half-court shot, and actually got a decent look that didn't go in. And considering you didn't have Carl Hall, your best player, your most aggressive player down low, and considering you couldn't really make shots against Pitt's stingy defense, to end up 5 points, you got to feel pretty good about yourself if you're a Shocker.
Jamie Maggio standing by with Shockers head coach Greg Marshall.
Thank you, Spiro. Coach, both teams shooting under 35% in the first half. What do you attribute the lack of offense to?
Great defense on both ends. I mean, we're guarding them. They're guarding us. Jump shots are at a premium right now. We hit a couple. We got a couple of second shots. We're doing a wonderful job down here.
Malcolm Armstead providing a little shot of energy there towards the end. How do you generate more of that in the second half?
Malcolm's a big-time player, and we need Carl, and Clee to all play very well for us to have a chance to win. But we've won a lot of games this year shooting under 40%, and that's what happens when you defend and rebound the way we do.
All right, Coach, thank you. Guys?
All right, Jamie, thanks. Halftime here in Salt Lake City, Wichita State leading Pitt 26-21. We'll send you to AT&T at the half. After these messages, you're watching the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship.
For all the unlimited potential in life.
Back on AT&T at the half. A moment ago, you saw Wichita State's Lamar Patterson called for a flagrant 1 foul due to this elbow against Wichita State's Ron Baker. They reviewed it and determined it was a flagrant 1. Free throws and the ball returned back to the Shockers.
Start of the second half, Wichita State 5-point lead over Pitt. Moments ago, Jamie Maggio with Jamie Dixon.
4 for 7 from three-point range. What adjustments will you plan to make offensively?
Make some shots. You know, I mean, we had good looks, layups we've missed too as well. So we got to make some shots. We got to rebound better. We're not winning that battle, but I thought we executed pretty well offensively, except for the turnovers. Good shots that we got to finish.
Appreciate your time, Coach. Thank you.
All right, Jamie, we take a look at our first half stats presented by Coke Zero. Both teams shooting a combined 1 of 21 from three-point distance. Which team can generate some offense? That the telltale fact is certainly here as we get ready for the second half. Moments ago, inside the Wichita State locker room, Greg Marshall addressing his players.
They can't come out more than angry than us. They cannot be angrier than us, okay? Antoine Carr, play angry. This is the dog pound. He texted me this morning. Make sure the guys play angry. Okay, and you did that in the first half.
That sums it up. Marshall's trying to get the emotions up. A physical, defensive-oriented first half, as we expected, Doug, through the first 20 minutes.
Channeling your inner big dog. Austin Carr, of course, he used to wear the shades when he played here with John Stockton.
Both coaches, at least Jamie Dixon, told Jamie Maggio that they just need to hit shots. It's about shot making. Is it as simple as that, Doug? Is it just a matter of hitting the open looks?
Well, I like the way, and we didn't listen inside of Jamie Dixon's locker room, but I like the way that Greg Marshall's encouraging his team.
Anthony Early gets right to work, and Wichita State with a 7-point lead.
I mean, I like that he's saying, like, look, I have no problem with any open shot you're taking. None. Keep taking them. Just make them.
Early, your leading scorer, 12 points. Shockers now on an 11-2 run, going back to the first half.
I actually think that Pittsburgh has gotten better looks, just had poorer results, and frankly, Wichita with 6 offensive rebounds and 2 more free throws taken. They're out-hitting Pitt.
Yes, they are. Wichita State, no stranger to facing Big East competition as Robinson misses the 3. Offensive rebound, Zana. And the shot clock resets. Shockers earlier this season knocked off DePaul. DePaul certainly not one of the stronger teams in the Big East, but no easy wins against that conference. Errant pass. Patterson trying to find a rolling Adams who had his back turned.
He had Robinson open, and I would disagree that DePaul is an easy win in the Big East. In the new Big East, the old Big East, it doesn't matter. DePaul, of course, the Missouri Valley Conference is going to lose Creighton to the new Big East. But it's still a very strong conference with great home court atmospheres like that at Koch Arena.
And now that you're starting to see Wichita State play with some more confidence, a chance here to push their lead to 9 after the 9th turnover by Pitt. And that's the 3rd personal on Patterson.
And it does go back to that flagrant foul with Patterson now picking up his 3rd, but Patterson forcing the ball inside to Adams. Look, I think the lack of defensive rebounding and the turnovers are more problematic than the shot making. You'd like to believe you're Jamie Dixon. Hey, we're not a good offensive team, but we're a lot better than we shot in the first half. You just simply cannot turn the basketball over and give up second shot opportunities to the Shockers.
One thing about Jamie Dixon's team, they're not built to come back from large deficits, so a very key point of this game here. Malcolm Armstead, the southpaw, hits the 2nd, and the Shockers have a 9-point lead.
Remember, the Shockers still playing with that Carl Hall, who's sat most of the first half with 2 personal fouls. He is their most consistent interior player.
Hall starting the second half on the bench. Ahime Arupe on the floor, defending Steven Adams. This is Robinson. Deron Johnson off the bench. Desperately need any kind of a spark. And the officials say Wichita State basketball.
And that's what Deron Johnson can provide. When he comes in, first touch, he's looking to shoot the basketball. But Robinson has to be ready to shoot. James Robinson has to be ready to shoot that ball. When they run him off a double screen, he's wide open at the top of the key. Either shoot it or take one step in and knock it down. You got to keep the defense honest. And he got a great shot of getting second shots with big Talib Zana and Steven Adams inside.
Wichita State 26 wins, the at-large bid out of the Missouri Valley Conference. And his early misses from the baseline. Second straight trip to the big dance for the Shockers. Last season lost to VCU in the round of 64 as a 5 seed. Looking for a better result here in Salt Lake City. Zana. Offensive rebound. Adams just too big for Hall, who's just come back in. Huge play for the Panthers. Baker. Johnson in the open floor and a reach-in foul charge to Baker. The redshirt freshman, second on him. So Johnson off the bench, immediately trying to jumpstart this Pitt offense.
A nice advance pass from James Robinson. The most underrated pass in college basketball, simply advancing the ball, throwing it up to your wings so they feel like, hey, if I run, I'm going to actually catch the basketball.
There's a three from Woodall. Another offensive rebound for Adams, second in the early going second half. Johnson buries the three. Panthers cut it to 4. First points for Deron Johnson, the redshirt freshman. He was Pitt's best three-point shooter in Big East Conference games, better than 41%. As we get a whistle here. First three-point field goal for the Panthers today at the 17-10 mark of the second half.
Well, they call him Kiwis, but he's anything but soft like a Kiwi. Here's Steven Adams, positioning, muscling, just got a put back off the offensive rebound. Now he finds Deron Johnson, kick out three, bang, and Pitt's only down 4.
Officials have stopped the game again to go to the video replay monitor. That's the third time today.
I think they're trying to find out if it's 3 or 2. As Deron Johnson shot the basketball very close. See the out-of-bounds play. Trey Woodall taking a contested 3, but Steven Adams, big solid rebound. That's a 3.
Now, clearly a 3. Now we're told that they may be looking at an elbow away from the shot.
Is it on Steven Adams? I don't know. Like, Carl Hall is at elbow height of Steven Adams. So anytime he turns around, his elbow may catch Carl Hall.
We heard John Adams, the head of officiating in college basketball, on with the guys at halftime. And, you know, again, that controversial elbow that was called a flagrant in the first half on Lamar Patterson, you know, it's not on the officials. They are simply executing what the rule book states.
It's just spinning. There's no elbow. I mean, there's nothing excessive. It's above shoulder level, but that's because he's huge. He's 7 feet tall. Anytime he turns around, you have to hold position with your arms out. Carl Hall saying, I got elbow. Thankfully, Vern Harris is saying, we're taking spirit of the law, not letter of the law, ball out of bounds. Officials don't like this rule. I just want to point that out. You ask them to a man, no microphone on, they will say, if we could choose, but they are just following what the letter of the law is, and we're doing it.
So Wichita State, we're told, charged with a 30-second timeout there. With 3 minutes gone by in the second half, Shockers lead down to 4.
A flex from Wichita State.
This is Clay Anthony early, trying to turn the corner. Hall, bottled up by Adams, and Woodall out of the fray. Off the floor to Johnson. Hall clears. Yeah, so Greg Marshall asked the officials to go to the replay monitors. Hall rolling to the rim, flushes with 2. Officials looked at the replay. They determined it was not an elbow or a flagrant, so they are charged with that 30-second timeout.
That's akin to throwing the red flag in the NFL.
6-point lead for Wichita State. You see Carl Hall, his first field goal. He's got 4 points. Adams. That's the shot he's got to hit. The left-hander was right at the rim. Hall beat Adams down the floor, but the pass a little bit off target as Wichita State turns it over for the 8th time. 6-point lead for the Shockers early second half. Meantime, Greg Marshall's Wichita State Shockers up 6 points over Pitt. Both teams struggling mightily in the first half shooting. That has carried over for the Panthers. 2 of 8 so far since halftime. But Wichita State starting to show some offensive signs. They've hit 2 of their first 5.
See where Malcolm Armstead's picking up the basketball and the fact that Robinson can't go by him. I think that's a problem and why Pittsburgh has trouble running their offense. Robinson's a very good, big, strong freshman point guard. They can't go by anybody.
Armstead charged for a reaching foul. He thought he had a clean strip. And that's his second.
In terms of being a true point guard at a high major level, you see Malcolm Armstead just taking the basketball away. Yes, you have to be able to get your team into the offense, but you have to be able to break down a defense when pressured, and Robinson struggles with that.
Panthers turn it over to Cale Cotton to the rim, wet. And Wichita State can extend to an 8-point lead.
Trey Woodall is just having an awful middle of the day here. He's 1 of 8, 0 of 4 from the three-point line, no free throws, no assists, and now 4 turnovers for Woodall, the 5th-year senior. And in this great lineage of point guard from Ice McCullough to Brandon Knight to Paul Krauser, Levance Field, they were all at their peak when they hit that junior and senior season. Woodall, of course, had last season destroyed by a sports hernia. You know, this season he's had to play some 2-guard. Look at the long lineage of point guards. That doesn't even include, I forgot, Vonteego Cummings, a first-round pick. Before that, Ice McCullough, Jerry McCullough.
A lot of people feel like this kid, James Robinson, has the potential to certainly be in that conversation, if not the highest ceiling of those players. He's got a long way to go, but a bright, bright future for that young man and a great start. As right now, he and the Panthers are down 7. J.J. Moore has come on for the Panthers, as has Cameron Wright. Again, this is not a Panthers team that is equipped to come from behind from big deficits. Woodall in a long 3. Offensive rebound, Wright. Huge play for Pitt. 4 points for Cameron Wright. That cuts it to 5 with 14 and change remaining.
That was unbelievable defense from Wichita State. Rupe, really hedges hard out on Trey Woodall. Woodall shoots an air ball. But because they stretched him out so far, that's why that second shot opportunity, Pitt back to playing Pitt basketball, which is second shot basketball. Shoot it and go get it.
Armstead. Offensive rebounder, Rupe bottled up. Adams, the 7-footer, tips the pass. It's taken by Woodall. Right through the paint. Knocked away by Baker. Adams getting his hands dirty, but Baker takes for Wichita State. And he's fouled by Woodall. Second on the senior guard.
Where is Cameron Wright going? He's driving into the trees, and Trey Woodall, it ends up actually being a pretty good foul because it doesn't give up a transition bucket, but you can even see Trey Woodall disappointed at where Cam Wright was going. Really tough night for the 5th-year senior.
Well, Doug, you can say what you want. It has not been a highly efficient offensive game so far, but both of these teams put everything they have on the line physically as Baker drawing contact. And he'll shoot 2.
Like, you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself, but you do tell yourself going into this game, this could be my last game. You start thinking, don't make it my last game, don't make it my last game. And boy, if you're Trey Woodall, you got 14:09 to turn this thing around. Air balls, turnovers, bad shots, bad decisions. For a guy who has been so clutch and played his best basketball for Pitt over the last month of the season, so far, this has been an awful, awful afternoon.
He's had a great career at Pitt. The Brooklyn native, we mentioned, played for the legendary head coach at St. Anthony in Jersey City, Bob Hurley. A 32-0 record during his senior season, still very much in contact with Hurley. Playing a vital role in his life. Woodall will sit for the next couple of minutes here. 7-point game as Demetric Williams comes in for Wichita State.
You saw Ron Baker, who's going to check out Scott City, Kansas, trying to get the crowd going, the Shocker faithful going. He hits 2 free throws. I think Wichita senses something. Blood in the water. And we'll see if they can strike again.
We hit the 14-minute mark, second half. In Salt Lake City, 7-point Panthers deficit. Robinson against Van Fleet, couple of freshmen.
This is quality defense from Wichita State. Nose to chest, very physical.
Robinson stumbling to the rim, gets the friendly bounce, and he's headed to the free throw line. Looks like Robinson took a shot.
Kind of just leads head first. Feels like he's stumbling over, and Van Vliet just gets kind of caught in the way, throws it up.
But you're right, you can't defend much better than this in the half court. That is an awfully tough shot.
I don't see a foul, and I think Greg Marshall frankly agree with me.
Three-point play from James Robinson. And just like that, the Panthers cut it to 4. Still 17 to shoot. Into the corner early. Three-pointer is blocked by Taylor. And the officials say it's Pitt basketball. Loose ball foul charge to the Shockers.
It's really hard to appreciate at home, but the rotations for Pittsburgh defensively, Dante Taylor coming out from underneath the bucket, all the way out to block Anthony Early's jump shot. That entire defensive possession was outstanding for Pitt.
2 of the top defensive teams in the tournament. Pitt 6th in the country in scoring defense. And Wichita State, a team that allows only 60 points per game. Long free for more.
So Dante Taylor's wide open on the roll. He's wide open. They have to throw the ball inside and get dunks.
Well, fans, watch live games on your computer, iPhone, iPad, and select Android devices with NCAA March Madness Live. Watch now at ncaa.com/March Madness or download the app today. Spoken like a true former point guard. You have to put that on the point to get the offense organized and get the ball where it needs to be,
yeah,
right?
I mean, but you didn't. That wasn't a point guard. That was Lamar Patterson coming off a ball screen. But the big guy's rolling the basket. He's got an angle. Give him the ball.
Cotton, big 3 for the Shockers. Jamie Dixon calling for time. Wichita State's lead back to 7.
Tequil Cotton sensing Cotton. And Wichita State sensing a first-round win, up 38-31.
Well, Conan founded a university just so he could start a basketball team to crash March Madness. To learn about the Conan State team, watch Conan weeknights, only on TBS. Very funny. Spiro Ditas, Doug Gottlieb, Jamie Maggio, our entire crew from Salt Lake City. First of 4 games here. 8-9 matchup, but right now Pitt in trouble, down 9.
I gotta say, I don't understand why Jamie Dixon has Steven Adams out. When they got back into this game, Steven Adams had 2 offensive rebounds, 1 for a putback, 1 for a kick-out 3, and a big block shot. I think they're much better with Steven Adams in the game than Dante Taylor.
Jamie Dixon, no stranger to the tournament, the 47-year-old California native. 262 wins, most wins ever by a head coach over his first 10 years. As the freshman Robinson can hit with a left hand, and Wichita State controls.
Nothing bad about that possession, with the exception of you have to make those shots.
Ball. Stepping middle and a chance at a 3-point play. And once again, Jamie Dixon sensing the danger that Pitt is currently in, stops the game down 9. Game summary here from Salt Lake City. Wichita State, biggest lead of the day, 9 points, with just under 12 minutes remaining in regulation. Spiro Ditas and Doug Gottlieb. Doug, we've seen this before. Pitt not having a good offensive day. How did they get it going here in the second half?
Well, they got to get stops and maybe some run-throughs, but long carom rebounds you can turn into offense, and I look for James Robinson to throw the ball up the floor and create shots in transition. They can also get second shot opportunities, and I like that Jamie Dixon has put Steven Adams back in the game because he was dominating the offensive glass before he came out.
Hall's three-point play makes it a 10-point game. And again, we don't want to harp on it, but this is not a Pitt team that is built to come back from big deficits. And certainly you think, 10-point lead with still 11 and change left is certainly not insurmountable. So Pitt today shooting just 30% from the field. If you just joined us. This is Zana, and a reaching foul charge to Williams. A lot of talent here in Salt Lake City. Opening game of 4 games on the docket. Pat Riley, president of the Miami Heat. After he watched that incredible come-from-behind win, their 24th in a row last night in Cleveland. Here's Talib Zana at the free throw line.
And just a guess, good chance to get a first look at Steven Adams, who in a couple of years will likely be a lottery pick. I mean, right now it's all based upon potential. And then our next game, you're going to have Kelly Olynyk, who's a redshirt junior for Gonzaga. All expectations are this is his last year in Spokane. He's had an incredible season as he's a finalist for the Wooden Award.
Gonzaga a Cinderella no more as they enter the tournament. #1 in the final AP poll for the first time ever. Trey Ziegler lost the sneaker. So man advantage here. They find Hall inside. He was camped out against Woodall.
It's the second straight time Carl Hall, who's 24 years old, incredible personal story of fortitude to come back and play college basketball, has just pinned his man deep and gets a free throw.
Carl Hall in 2007, a freshman at the junior college level, diagnosed with a heart condition that causes him to have these very scary fainting spells. Doctors told him for 2 years he would never play basketball again. Moved back home with his mother. He took a job at a local lighting company. And really, as you'd expect, a young kid who was told he'd never play again, fell into depression. Thought that his life was over at that point, basically, certainly from a basketball standpoint. Finally, he worked his way back. Doctor said he can give it a try. And here he is now, just a couple of years later, a senior on the national stage with a chance to push Wichita State to the round of 32. This is Ziegler. Patterson yet to get his game going. He'll step to the line here. Now, Patterson's been a guy who's given them a shot in the arm offensively, Doug, for long stretches this season, but today has been quiet.
But he has the younger Ron Baker on him. Baker again kind of in that trail position, and that's what got Patterson into foul trouble with the flagrant foul in the first half.
Well, fans, be the first to know the latest news on all your teams with Bleacher Report's Team Stream app. Stay one step ahead. Check out Team Stream on your iPhone, iPad, or Android device today. Free throws by Patterson make it a 6-point game. As we move under 11 minutes left in regulation.
And this is not how Jamie Dixon wants to play, but based upon the personnel that he's matching up with, playing a zone is an interesting matchup for him.
Adams whistled for the foul. Hall back to the line, and now Carl Hall starting to get that deep post position.
Yeah, this is called sealing. Just seal your man. Step in. Carl Hall steps in. Boom. I got a bigger fella. Seal him behind. I don't see the foul. What they give you generally is like 5 degrees to move your hands. You're supposed to have what's called verticality, whereas if you stand up straight defensively, you have all the way up to infinity. That's your space. And if the offensive player jumps into you. And referees will give you about 5 degrees wiggle room forward. And Vern Harris believes that Steven Adams lowered his hand so much that Carl Hall was fouled. I don't agree, but Carl Hall smartly, because he's undersized, that kind of classic mid-major big man, 23 years old, gets low post position, seals his man, and gets to the free throw line again. That's the third trip in a row he's executed the exact same type of positioning offensively.
9 points for the Georgia native, Carl Hall. And now Wichita State, the steal to Cale Cotton. Smooth sailing. He's got 6. And the Shockers lead back to 9.
Somebody leave a trampoline on the floor? Oh, to Cale Cotton. Little run through. The thievery in Wichita State. Boing, up 10.
10-point lead for the Shockers from Wichita State. And for the college, casual college basketball fan, they'll look at the score and maybe be surprised, but this is not a big shock at this point. You know, Wichita State, a very strong-minded defensive team. And a team that certainly expected that they would pull through today. Right now up 10 with 10 and change remaining. And right now, Trey Woodall slugging his way through this game. Anthony fakes the 3 going baseline, and he'll step to the line. And look at the confidence now of Wichita State completely taking the momentum.
Well, here's Cale Cotton running through, getting the steal and the dunk. And that's Trey Ziegler, who is handling the ball. Not really a point guard, not really a ball handler, and they're trying to get the ball to Trey Woodall. There's James Robinson back in the game after that steal by Ziegler. They just tried to get Robinson a break. He's out for 1 play, and it's a steal and a dunk. And then Woodall turns the ball over. That's 5 turnovers, no assists for Trey Woodall.
A lot of concern certainly on that Pitt sideline. Free throws by Cleanthony early. Biggest lead of the day for Wichita State at a dozen here as we come up at the midway mark of the second half.
You're Wichita State. You have 2 minutes till the next mandatory TV timeout. Win this next stanza.
Patterson barely drawing iron. And Van Fleet the rebound. Early. Baker for the 3. Now where is the offense coming from for Pittsburgh? Panthers shooting percentage now 29%. Patterson. Offensive rebound on Sana. Inside Patterson cutting to the rim. Contact will put him at the line as Patterson took a shot to the chops.
And that's their best offense. Second shot offense. Shoot it and go get it. I continue to believe that as Lamar Patterson drives and gets smacked in the face.
You know, Doug, it's nice to have offensive balance. We mentioned no Pitt Panthers scores more than 12 points per game, but the problem in a situation like this, you don't really have a go-to player who you can lean on. So you don't know where the offense is coming from, and now the nerves start to tighten up as they look at Patterson's face. Looks like he's okay.
This has been the problem for Pitt as you go back to 2 years ago when they lost to Butler. You know, their best team was the one that lost to Scotty Reynolds, Boston Garden, Elite 8, a last-second layup. That was their shot. Sam Young was an elite college talent. You had good guards in the backcourt. But this team is just kind of solid, steady, defensive-minded, has to offensive rebound. But the reason that they're so spread out offensively is they don't really have anybody who can score. And so if they have a hot hand, they feed them. I continue to believe you can get rolls to the basket because Wichita State is over-helping, over-hedging. But it's almost like the Pitt guards refuse to throw the ball inside.
Well, that's Scotty Reynolds' shot back in the 2009 tournament, one of the classic shots in the history of March Madness, sending Villanova to the Final Four. Doug also mentioned the one against Butler 2 years ago, 2011. Panthers also a 1 seed in that tournament. Beaten by a free throw from Matt Howard with under a second to play to send Butler to the Sweet 16. Right now they're down 10. We come up on 9 minutes remaining. Offensive foul will give it back to the Panthers. C.J. LaFille has come back in for Wichita State.
Yeah, moving screen. Now this needs to be called more. That's a quality. You can't move your feet. You can't shuffle and hold that screen. So yeah, call more of that, less of the elbow stuff.
So LaFille will stay in. Greg Marshall going deep now into his front court rotation. Carl Hall will rest. Can't imagine for very long here.
I think he's waiting until the under 8 mark. Remember, as much as Carl Hall has improved his conditioning, he does have that heart condition, and they're a little cautious here in altitude.
Robinson, another great look at it, can't bank it in. And Wichita State's lead stays at 10.
Just a miserable day shooting the basketball for the Pitt Panthers. They're not a good offensive team, but they're not this bad.
Panthers now 11 to 39, a 28% clip. Wichita State, of course, hasn't been much better. Van Fleet sets the table for Williams. 10 to shoot. This is Van Fleet, the first-year player from Rockford, Illinois. 3 to shoot. Hanging midair. And it's cleared by Johnson. They go pick and roll to Zana, and he goes glass. 8-point game.
Finally they've hit the roll, man. Zana caught one in the first half, missed it in the second half. Those are open. Adams, you want to only get on angles, laying the ball in. Zana's got a little bit more skill. That'll open up the defense and the drive angles for the Pitt guards if they will hit the roll man.
Talib Zana, born in Nigeria, defending Anthony early here. Van Fleet, the smallest guy on the floor, snatches the rebound, and he is fouled underneath. 8-point lead for Wichita State as we creep to the 7-minute mark. All right, quick, so Michigan State through. They now await the winner of Memphis and St. Mary's. Huge win for Tom Izzo's Spartans.
I really like this Michigan State club, but the one type of backcourt that seems to have given Keith Appling the most trouble is uber quick athletic points and combos. Appling's not a true point. Look back to the UConn game to start the year, or Indiana's backcourt. And of course, if Memphis advances, that's what he'll look at with Joe Jackson, that talented Tiger backcourt.
And you've got Michigan State, one of your Final Four teams, correct?
Yeah.
But didn't you fill out like 27?
No. I filled out one as soon as we got it on the selection show on CBS and had Louisville advancing. But upon further review, I put St. Louis beating Louisville and Michigan State a rematch of last year's game beating St. Louis.
So Pitt takes possession back down 9 points. We come up on 7 minutes remaining. Panthers have not led since the 3:40 mark of the first half. Robinson around the screen from Taylor. There's Woodall. Rebound pulled underneath by Cleanthony Early. Here comes Armstead. Tough runner with the left hand. Wichita State's lead back to 11. Armstead, the senior, native of Alabama, has 13 points. He had 28 in the final of the Missouri Valley Conference against Doug McDermott and Creighton. This is Zana, the Nigerian national. Up over the defense is fouled.
Spiro, the scouting report on Malcolm Armstead is he likes to go over those ball screens to his left hand and shoot floaters. That is right on the scouting report. That's pretty good defense. That is just a man's shot. Probably a foul on James Robinson, but because he puts his body in front, there's no real arm contact. They let him get away with it. It's a quality finish for Malcolm Armstead.
Yeah, one thing about this Wichita State team, if they could advance, potential third-round matchup against Gonzaga, if they do what they're supposed to do. If you can defend, Doug, as strongly as this Wichita State team can defend, you're not going to get blown out. You're going to keep yourself in games.
Yeah, remember,
so they could be very dangerous potentially.
One of Gonzaga's 2 losses was to Butler. Butler didn't have Rodney Clark. And Butler looks like fire boys, but they beat you up like sailors. And they are tough, physical, and they make you work for every possession. Now, Gonzaga had the game won, didn't inbound the basketball at midcourt to Kelly Olynyk, and Roosevelt Jones hit a game-winning jump shot. But the bigger point is, you're right. Gonzaga has struggled with uber physical teams. They've lost to Big Ten teams over the past couple of years. It'll be interesting to see if Wichita has enough offense, again, if they advance.
Nowhere near out of the woods yet, as Armstead unable to hit with the little leader. Offensive rebound early, and the shot clock resets.
He's much better going to his left hand. Going to his right, he wants to shoot a jump shot. Going to his left, he wants to shoot a runner.
Clock continues to run. We're under 6 minutes to play. And a huge defensive possession for the Panthers. Armstead breaking them down again. He is headed to the line. And now Wichita State with its biggest lead of the day, 15 for Armstead.
This is called negotiating the ball screen. Takes the ball over his head. Both defenders lift up. He just drives in there, little scoop shot. If you're a point guard and you want to know how you finish over the big trees, you don't do it by going and dunking on people. You got to have the floaters. You got to jump off your right foot, finish with your left hand. You got to be able to use your body. Malcolm Armstead has incredible body control going to the basket.
Well, we heard Jamie Maggio tell us the story last year during his redshirt year. Armstead part-time working for a local car dealership in Wichita to pay for his student loans, of course paid his own way to join the Wichita State program after transferring from Oregon. And how far this young man has come. Positioning the Shockers now up 14 with 5:28 remaining. Patterson drawing contact. Well, if the Panthers are going to come back, you have to think that they'll need the three-point shot. But so far today, it has not been there, to say the least.
And the Penn fans know I have not been working with the Panthers on their three-point stroke. This is all of their own doing. Some of them good looks, some of them rush looks, some of them looks where Wichita State has forced them off a spot, forced them a little bit deeper out than they want to be. But you want to talk about an awful shooting night. Jamie Dixon not happy with something J.J. Moore did. He's calling for J.J. Moore to go into the game.
Officials say a lane violation. That is a huge call. And that will negate a point. Jamie Dixon irate. So it will remain a 13-point game.
So Dixon holds up 2. I believe that means they're going to press, likely into a zone.
Urgency level starts to rise with 5 and change to play. Excellent setup. Armstead to early. 15-point game. This is Patterson. Tough runner with the left hand. Everything contested by the Shockers. Panthers retain with 23 to shoot.
Well, here's Wichita State's press breaker. A long pass from Ron Baker, but Lamar Patterson's a step slow, and then I love the attack mode that Wichita State's in. Somebody presses you, that means a 3-on-1 on the backside. Dunk you very much.
Wichita State 8-10 all-time in the NCAA tournament.
Well, had a chance to tie the game last year. Garrett Stutz, their 7-foot center, missed a 3 at the buzzer against VCU. Of course, their big win to open the season was at VCU.
That was a 3-point loss to Virginia Commonwealth last March. But now Greg Marshall feeling a whole lot better about where his team sits here. 15-point lead with under 5 minutes to play. And now his team in the double bonus. 2 free throws for the redshirt freshman Ron Baker. Well, the ironic thing about Pitt, we've been talking about their offensive struggles. This a top 10 team, Doug, in offensive efficiency in Division I basketball. Look at their season average field goal percentage.
Well, the offense efficiency is a little misleading in terms of how good a shooting team they are. They have good efficiency because they get second shots, they get layups, they get runouts. But it's really the second shot, so it's how many points you score per possession. They're good at getting second shots, but you're playing a Wichita State team that's the best rebounding team in the Missouri Valley Conference, which to people who haven't been paying attention, very solid conference, great arenas, quality teams, and incredibly physical league as well.
50% shooting as a team over a 32-game stretch, pretty good. Adams bulldozing his way to the rim. Contacts, and he'll step to the line. Boy, where has that been for Pitt today? The 7-foot freshman to the line, 4:42 to play. He can cut it to 13.
He never gets the basketball. That's a nice move. That's similar to what you're going to see from Kelly Olynyk, who wasn't a true post coming to Gonzaga and has learned. And look, a bit mechanical in the low post. That dude's a manimal. Get him the ball.
So here is Adams, the 7-footer at the line, the native of New Zealand. Has only been in the States 15 months. Came over in January of 2012. It has been a whirlwind year and a half for the young man. Three-point play cuts it to 13 points with 4:37 remaining.
Extended 2-3 zone from Pittsburgh. Kind of doing their best Louisville-Syracuse imitation, really trying to play that zone high. Use Cameron Wright to get a deflection or a steal.
Armstead against Woodall. Threading the needle. Wedged between Wright and Woodall. And Armstead will shoot 2. The coverage of the 2013 NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship begins Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. For more information on game times and listings, visit ncaa.com. Armstead rims in the second. 15-point lead.
Wichita State does not let you up for air. Look at the recovery on their press. The difference in the recovery versus Pitt's recovery in the press.
Woodall to the rim. It just has not been his day. Fight for it underneath. Knocked out of bounds, they say, by Adams. And Pitt in serious trouble. Trey Woodall now 1 of 11 on the day. Panthers stay on their full court press. Foul charge to Woodall. Double bonus. Jamie Dixon desperately trying to find answers on that sideline. And that shot tells the story. Cameron Wright back in. You know, Jamie Dixon's name in the news this week linked to the potential head coaching position at USC. Not something that he has addressed, of course, focused on the tournament with his team. It has been an incredible run for him at Pitt. Panthers faithful certainly want to see him stay. Panthers, of course, leaving the Big East. They are bound for the ACC next season.
And I think it makes it a harder job as Trey Woodall. This could be his last game as a 5th-year senior. He fouls out. You mentioned 1 of 11 and 5 turnovers, a game he'd like to forget. Everybody wants to forget their last college game if they don't end a champion, but boy, for Trey Woodall, a tremendous player.
Adams, left-handed finish. So Pitt showing a pulse, but under 4 minutes remaining, as suddenly they have gone to the 7-foot freshman Steven Adams. A chance at a second 3-point play when we come back. Wichita State position up 15. Their head coach Greg Marshall. There is his family, his wife Lynn, daughter Maggie, his son Kellen, all here taking it in. Not celebrating yet, but Lynn, you know, as most wives of head coaches in college basketball, very much a part of things around the team, around the kids. And she says of all the teams that Greg has coached over the years, Doug, and he has some great words at Winthrop, multiple trips to the Big Dance. She says this is the team that best exemplifies Greg's personality. And not always the best team, but always determined to win. And here they are now, 4 minutes away, from advancing to the round of 32.
And Greg Marshall was frustrated. He was at Winthrop, and they went to 7 straight tournaments. Because John Kress is kind of his basketball godfather, and Kress is not as connected as some of the other long-tenured coaches. Kress, of course, a legendary coach at College of Charleston, couldn't get a bigger job. Finally, he got the job at Wichita State. And he's been offered Texas A&M. Everyone thought he was offered South Carolina where they assumed he'd go, and he turned it down.
Cameron Wright to steal quickly to the rim. So it's a 13-point game, 3.5 to play. Now, what's the call here? Cameron Wright upset about something. Now the officials will wave off whatever the call was.
Well, it's an inadvertent whistle because J.J. Moore was calling a press. He was using a hand signal for their type of press, and the official thought he was calling timeout.
So they sort through that quickly.
So this is a man-to-man press. Well, actually, it's more of a 1-2-2 press. When the ball goes in, Pittsburgh's going to trap. What Pitt needs to do is bring their back line up and try and rotate and get a steal. Back line is too deep.
Wichita State in the double bonus. Every whistle costly at this point.
For Wichita State, you want to take shots, either layups, wide open jumpers, or as you hear the buzzer sound from the shot clock.
Patterson pokes it out of bounds, still 16 to shoot. Marshall has inserted Demetric Williams, an extra ball handler.
The perfect possession of your Wichita State is you run offense, you turn it over side to side, and then you run a high ball screen from Malcolm Armstead, and whatever the shot is, it's taken as you hear the horn go off.
Oh, dangerous pass. Moore had it. Shot clock at 5. Armstead on a 3. That is a killer for Pitt. Great defense for 35 seconds, but unable to protect the defensive glass.
Out-hitting Pitt is what Wichita State's doing.
Early trying to create the shot, but the Shockers in no hurry. Clock continues to run, 2:35 remaining. Williams bottled up by Patterson. Armstead, got it! That is a senior shot, 22 for Armstead, as Moore beats him back quickly. That gets it back down to 13, timeout taken by Jamie Dixon.
Well, Malcolm Armstead, we talked about shooting when the shot clock runs down. 5, 4, 3, 2, bottoms. Shockers up 13.
Gonzaga Southern waiting in the wings. Winner of this game will face the winner of that one, as the Zags will take the floor against the Jaguars. Here's second of our quadruple header here in Salt Lake City. There's Greg Marshall.
I was mentioning how he was frustrated that he couldn't get a bigger job, and he really appreciates what Wichita State has given him. It's a $1 million a year job playing at Wichita State. You walk into Charles Koch Arena, which is sold out every night, even when they've had down years. The Roundhouse was redone about a decade ago, and it is Wichita is a tremendous basketball town.
A great atmosphere in that arena. 6 years for Marshall now with the Shockers. Two-time Missouri Valley Conference Coach of the Year.
Back-to-back years.
First Wichita State coach to ever accomplish that feat. Inbound to Early. Panthers thought that they had him tied up.
I agree.
Backside official, who was quite far from the play, makes the call. Double bonus for Wichita State. 2 free throws with 2:07 remaining.
But you know, now with Creighton leaving the Missouri Valley, Wichita State becomes the best job in that league. Creighton's always been the best job in the league. Wichita State probably second because of the support. Because you have the Jayhawk Conference, which is a great junior college conference, and Hutchinson Junior College is the site of the Junior College National Championship, and that's kind of fish in a barrel for Wichita State to go recruit there. Great history in the state of Kansas. Ralph Miller, once a coach at Wichita State.
And the rumors already starting as to which team will replace Creighton in the conference, as they will continue to make some substitutions. It's a Cale Cotton, who's had a big contribution today really at both ends of the floor, back in, replacing Armstead. Wichita State 8-10 all-time in tournament play. Is 2 minutes away here, up 14. Patterson.
Wichita State's trying to press into a zone to make Pittsburgh shoot jump shots. They keep getting layups now.
7 points for Patterson, the junior. And a quick whistle on the inbounds play. It's on Johnson. That's his 5th. Doug, would you like to see maybe a little bit more defense before you foul to try to go for the steal? I mean, at this point, you're just putting them at the line for 2.
Yeah. No, you don't want to foul. You want to get the ball in bounds and then get a trap and rotate. But Pitt it's a 1-2-2 zone press where they're trapping. They're trying to deny the basketball. If you get it in, they're trying to trap. But their back line, which is your 2 big guys, they're too far back, so they can't get rotations. They can't get steals.
That's a 13-point game. Doug, if they get through, how dangerous can Wichita State be in the next round?
Well, listen, it just comes down to their ability to make shots. I know that sounds really cliche, but defensively, rebounding-wise, they can be a problem. I do think the way in which Pittsburgh had open men as Wichita State really hedges hard on ball screens. You can't do that against the Zags because their bigs are so much better. Elias Harris is terrific, and maybe the most underrated player in this bracket.
That'll be the second game of our quadruple header. Offensive foul on Patterson, and that is his 5th foul. So Patterson's day is over at the 1:39 mark of the second half, and Pitt down 14 points. Patterson finishes just 1 for 7, 9 points, 7 of those coming at the free throw line. Armstead breaking the press. Baker with the feed from Hall, and that could be the exclamation point. 11 for Carl Hall, and Wichita State with a 16-point lead. Robinson rims one in. Buck 16 to play. Dixon will take a timeout. But Wichita State on cruise control appear to be headed to the round of 32. .116 to play. Wichita State with a 14-point lead. And right now the Panthers in serious trouble on a day that has been an offensive struggle, to say the least. Greg Marshall's defense has been the story.
And this is like house money. They didn't expect to be this good, losing 4 starters from last year's team.
Shockers started the year 9-0, won 15 of their first 16 games. It was ranked as high as 15th in the AP poll. Got the at-large bid out of the Missouri Valley Conference, losing to Creighton in the conference title game. And here they are now, up 14 points. Foul charge to Deron Johnson, his 4th.
A consistency of success. And you watch how they attack the press. You watch how they guard inbounds passes. You watch the extra pass. The fact that here late in the game they're taking shots late in the shot clock as it expires. It's a well-coached team. There's a reason that he went to 7 tournaments at Winthrop. There's a reason they got it rolling at Wichita State. That guy's the reason.
Baker hits the first. Again, a reminder to track the other games going on, as you can see at the top of your screen. Marquette underway with Davidson on True TV. Gonzaga Southern, our next game here in Salt Lake City. 6 points for Ron Baker. Final 70 seconds. Robinson tripped up. His pass deflected. Armstead nearly had it. Doug, if it ends here for Pitt, certainly looks like it will. And we know they're ACC bound. A lot of changes coming up. We mentioned the rumors surrounding Jamie Dixon. Where does the program go from here?
Well, that's the big question. He's from Los Angeles. His wife's an SC alum. SC has a beautiful new arena. But you don't have what you have at Pitt. They've won. They're in the top 5 in winning percentage in all of college basketball for the past 12 years. And every time you walk into the Peterson Event Center, you walk into that zoo, it's full. So you're going to LA, you get a chance to build from scratch. And right now, one of his closest friends, Ben Howland, is very much in the hot seat at UCLA. And the thought is that if he leaves, Ben Howland comes back to Pittsburgh. But remember, if you go to USC, you're going to an empty building, and you have to be able to deal with that.
Hard to envision this program without Dixon at the helm. His early spinning fouled. It's on right with 51.6 to play. First on right.
Saw early get popped in the mouth. I think he will be a huge key heading forward if they match up with the Zags. Anthony Early is a face-up 4. And as good as Elias Harris is, and I'll continue to say he's the most underrated player that we've seen in Salt Lake City, and having a fantastic senior season for the Zags. But because of the dominance of Kelly Olynyk, it almost doesn't get discussed. But there's one flaw to his game. It's not a great defender. He's become better, but not a great defender. And you got to guard Early as soon as he crosses midcourt because he is offensive-minded.
Early, a junior, Middletown, New York native. Well, we know what his ceiling is. Had a 39-point game in early January against Southern Illinois. Most points by a Wichita State player since Xavier McDaniel went for 43 in 1985.
X-Man.
But he has also struggled. Had only 2 points against Creighton in the Missouri Valley Conference final. But there's no doubt they'll need a big day from him and everyone else in what could be a potential third-round matchup here Saturday against Gonzaga. Right, the kick to Robinson. Well, how many wide-open looks has Pitt missed today?
They missed every kind of look. Contested, wide open. A frustrating middle of the day for the Pittsburgh Panthers, but for Wichita State, who felt like they let one get away last year against VCU, and you lose 4 starters from last year's team, what an incredible performance at the defensive end, an offensive rebounding, and they outplayed Pitt at their own game.
Well, the seeding will tell you that this was an upset, but not a huge surprise. A very strong program out of Wichita, Kansas. Early with a runner, 3 seconds to play. And Wichita State behind Greg Marshall are headed to the round of 32 here in Salt Lake City. 9th all-time tournament win for the Shockers.
That was a whooping. Pittsburgh just took a whooping on national TV from Wichita State.
So Wichita State, the at-large bid out of the Missouri Valley Conference, through to the third round. They'll wait here for the winner of Gonzaga and Southern, a game that'll tip about 20 minutes from now. 18-point final. Wichita State wins it 73-55, and now the questions surrounding this Pitt program will begin as their offseason has started.
And I played in 2 of these 8-9 games versus a 1 seed. And what's interesting about this pod is you had the potential of matching up with New Mexico and Belmont and Harvard and Arizona in the future. And so what could happen is not only does Wichita have a tremendous traveling party, but if you have a lead late, you'll be surprised the Lobo fans and the Wildcat fans turn against you and it becomes a road game for the Zags.
Jamie Dixon standing by with Craig Marshall and 2 of his stars.
All right, Spiro, thank you. Coach, you said before the game, it's nice to get here. It's even better to win. How proud are you of your team for their efforts?
I'm proud of these guys. They played so well defensively. Pitt finally got to 55, and that was the number. But we had 73 against one of the better defensive teams in the country. This was the maestro right here. Everyone else fell in place.
And, Coach, you told me at halftime, too, that you've won a lot of games with low shooting percentages. But will that be something you address as you advance?
Well, we've got to shoot it better as we move on. But now we get an opportunity to scout this second game. Southern, never know. Gonzaga, very, very well coached and tremendously talented. We'll have to shoot it better probably against them.
All right, Coach, thank you so much. Malcolm, you made a lot of sacrifices, transferring from Oregon, sitting out a year, paying your way through school. You said you wanted a chance to win in the tournament. So how gratifying is this win for you, Malcolm?
It's a good win, man. It's my first time being here, so this is a dream come true. It's one step, but we're trying to go further.
Clay Anthony, you guys, it was a very close game, and throughout the first half, you built a small lead going into halftime, but in the second half, it was all Shockers. How were you able to maintain that momentum?
We just wanted to keep our energy and play angry, and that's what Coach made a big emphasis on the whole game, and we just try to go and do our best.
Congratulations, Clay Anthony. We'll see you on Saturday.
Thank you. I love you, Mom.
Back to you guys.
I knew I'd screw that up. Jamie Maggio doing a fabulous job for us here on the sidelines. What a day for Wichita State. They limit